Hello, and this is Chapter 1, an overview of public speaking for the public speaking course at Northern Iowa Area Community College. This morning I'm just going to briefly go over kind of the main content areas in Chapter 1 and then provide a quick overview of what I need you to do this week in order to be successful. Our textbook, the Public Speaking Handbook, the DK Guide to Public Speaking Handbook here, is written by Dr. Lisa A. Ford Brown. It's a fairly easy to read, I think, and usable document. I hope you'll find it helpful this semester. Each of the sections are arranged by tabs. Unfortunately, these big numbers aren't the helpful ones. You need to look for the smaller chapter numbers when looking at your syllabus and schedule. So I'm going to start with just kind of a basic overview and some of the information from the reading, and I'll add a little bit more as well. I'm not sure how many of you know the background of public speaking, and I doubt that most of you have much, so I'll start there. Public speaking is one of the first kinds of skills that's written about in the history of Western culture. If you go back to ancient Greece, Plato, who was really one of our first writers, wrote a dialogue using his mentor's voice, in which writing was considered very dangerous, and public speaking and talking were important because they facilitated our memory. His student Aristotle wrote the first public speaking book that exists that we still know about today, called The Rhetoric. And rhetoric is really a Greek word that we translate roughly as public speaking or persuasion. So this is a long tradition through the Greeks, the Romans, all the way through into the American 21st century. Public speaking continues to evolve. There was a period of time where it was very much about how you said things. There was a time when it was very much about how you used your body, what kinds of gestures, vocal tone. Speaking using your voice to amplify loud enough for room to hear before we had microphones. And so I really want to guide you a little bit as you read through Chapter 1 to focus your attention on a couple of the key areas. First thing I want you to think about is the three domains in which it says public speaking can improve or be used in your life. Your public life, your professional life, and your personal life. So many of us speak in public meetings or at a community gathering or at a church event because we really do think our ideas are important and valuable. Have you done this? When I was a student in high school, I spoke at a couple school board meetings because they were trying to eliminate advanced placement and accelerated courses. Everyone, instead of having those opportunities, would have to do post-secondary educational options or go to college. In your professional life, my professional life has involved a lot of public speaking, both in front of classes and in political rallies and at press conferences and things of that nature. In my personal life, I've given a few eulogies, spoken at a few weddings. So think about how that applies to your daily life. Think about the fact that you're speaking as one person to many people, and in many cases you're speaking through video. So how does that affect your audience, their interest in keeping them involved? It's really important to think about who your audience is and how they relate to the information you're trying to share. So try to be audience-centered. I'm working on that here by using examples from when I was in high school because I noticed there were a number of PSEO students in this class. And so therefore I'm trying to meet the needs of students and be centered to my audience. Like the most important content for me in Chapter 1 is the use of appropriate appeals, ethos, pathos, and logos. Those come to us from Aristotle, and we still use those ideas today. And after you watch Mary Fisher's speech, A Whisper of AIDS, you will then try and apply those concepts to her speech in the discussion board. So you're going to demonstrate to me that you understand ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos is an appeal to character. This is when the speaker either says, hey, I'm a good person, listen to me, or when the person says, you want to be good, or oh, you don't want to be bad, so do this. All right. Pathos is an appeal to emotion. I feel sad. It makes me cry. You're trying to get the audience to respond to you emotionally, which more and more of our discussions are led that way. Logos is the one that's most easy for us to translate because it sounds like logic, or language, which are the two ways it can be interpreted. So setting up a logical argument. And this is again key in how you will persuade people, how you will inform people. Statistics have a certain logic, examples have a certain logic, things like that. The book talks a little bit about speech anxiety. Feel free to read that section. Feel free to just skim it. I try to avoid it because I think reading it before we know whether or not we have true speech anxiety isn't helpful. The next section is practicing, and practicing is key to public speech. I think for people who are not experienced speakers, my recommendation is that you probably need to, for every minute of your speech, practice at least that number of times. So if you're doing a 3-minute speech, at least 3 minutes. And really, for those first speeches that you're not used to delivering, you're probably going to do that 3 or 4 times per minute. I really do expect speech 1 you'll have given it about a dozen times. In practice, you'll have learned what works and doesn't work for you, because that's how you become a more effective public speaker. Cite your sources. Don't cheat. Cheating is wrong. I don't like when people cheat. Then the book really turns into how to use the book. And so that's kind of a quick overview of the chapter. And think about it, read it, take your time. In this unit, or lesson 1 for week 1, the first thing you're going to do is introduce yourself in the discussion board to yourself. Introduce yourself to your peers, and I'll be reading those. So, your name. Call me Brad. I'm here because I'm the instructor. And something really specific. Last night I was sitting at home and I painted a new painting, which is one of the things I do for fun. Then you're going to watch Mary Fisher's A Whisper of AIDS, which is a speech that was given in 1992. And Mary Fisher was kind of the first person we thought of as a straight woman with AIDS and HIV. She delivered the speech and she used many wonderful rhetorical devices. It's a great speech for you to get a sense of how structure and flow work in the real world. You're going to be asked them to do a discussion board where you talk about ethos, pathos, and logos. And again, the goal this week is for you just to read the book, introduce yourselves to each other, and watch that first speech and start to understand. So typically our weeks are Monday through Friday. I try to give you the weekend off, and I also use it as grace period sometimes for work. Again, I'm Brad, and this is Introduction to Public Speaking. Thank you for joining me here at the end of week 1. Please let me know if there are any problems. Feel free to email me, or you can call or text if you need to. Thank you.